Hey, everybody. And hey, Robert, who's on vacation, who joined his time and actually unplugging. So happy that you're here to join us. Again, with the exception of Robert. No, Robert, it's good to see you too, as always. I'm Jonathan Crow. I'm Director of Community here at NinjaOne, and I am lagging just a bit, but that's okay. Bear with me. The real guest of honor is Kyle Pradlander, who is joining us from sunny California. Kyle, thanks for joining.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here.
And Kyle has been, how long has it been that you're here with Ninja, Kyle?
I think this is going on my third year right now. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Kyle joined the team and started making an immediate impact, especially with the scripting area of the NinjaOne platform. He's been working on all the out-of-box scripts that come nestled within Ninja. And Kyle and I have worked together a little bit. We've had some occasions that they're always really fun, but also usually due to like not fun things happening in the world. It's usually like there is a sudden thing that happens where maybe there's a vulnerability where there's no patch available yet, but maybe there's some configuration mitigation changes you can make, or there's something else urgent. And we're always kind of looking at that and saying, hey, how can we help our partners and what can we make available to folks? And Kyle has always been amazing at jumping on those things super quickly, busting out scripts. So we've done this a few times now. And anyway, it's been very cool. I'm really happy that you took time to join us here, Kyle.
Oh, anytime.
Well, yeah, tell us a little bit about more of what you're focused on here at Ninja.
Yeah, so I am the manager of the automation template library. So if you have any issues with the automation template library, in general, usually you can find me hanging out in the scripting general chat, trying to help people out. Occasionally people submit ideas, and me and my team will develop them a little more and get them all nice and slated into the library, and give customers a nice, good out-of-box experience.
Very great. And it's definitely your work is much appreciated there, as Robert calls out. Also, you've been dealing with Mark Giordano on our team, who is anti-venom for longtime Discord users. Yeah, hats off to you for dealing with Mark.
Yeah.
All right. And Robert, of course, asked the question that Robert, we will absolutely this is, I know now why Robert took time from his vacation to join the stream. Now is the perfect opportunity for us to show everyone. If you're a NinjaOne customer, NinjaOne user, and you haven't stumbled across the automation library, the script template library, we can absolutely show you that. But Kyle, we're going to talk about command line interface tools. Sometimes, in the world of NinjaOne, we put so much emphasis on good user experience, on the design of the platform, keeping things streamlined. And so GUIs, get a lot of love and everything, but sometimes you just gotta scratch that itch and go right to the command line. Tell us a little bit about why we chose this topic and what you're thinking, like why this is a good one for us to cover.
Yeah, so me and some of the other product managers were talking about some of the features available in the command line. And we kind of noticed that a lot of customers were kind of thought the command line only set custom fields. There's actually, and that was kind of true a few years ago, but it actually does a lot more than that nowadays. You can read and write Ninja documents. You can tag a device based on whatever your script is finding. You can create unmanaged devices now. So, you don't have to go in your web browser. You can just open up a script and have it create the device all for you. And I kind of just wanted to showcase, hey, you guys can do this. It's a piece of cake. Just let me give you a good walkthrough.
All right, awesome. Well, I love it. Any chance we get to show people, because there's a lot inside Ninja, and that's one of the great things about the community. We've got people like Robert and us who are super active in the Discord, and they're sharing the tips and tricks that they've picked up. You're active there too, as well as Mark and other folks on the product team. And always looking to make sure, hey, you guys, there's a lot of stuff in here that you should actually be taking advantage of and utilizing. So With all that said, let's get into it. Tell us about what you want to kind of dive into and show off first here.
So first, let me hit like the first brick wall people tend to run into. When they're looking to use these features, oftentimes they'll pull up the dojo and they'll get stuck between two different articles, and they're like, "Hey, do I install a PowerShell module on my device? Do I run an executable? Do I use these specific flags?" And the answer is, both the module and the executable exist. And the one you're going to reach for kind of depends on what operating system. Long story short, there's two CLI interfaces. The first one is the Ninja PowerShell module. It's already present on any device with the agent installed. So you don't need to download anything. It's already provided. You could just go ahead and just start running commands right away. The second one is the ninjarmm-cli. It's an executable that ships on every Ninja device. Technically, you could use it on Windows if you wanted to, but I really would only use it for Mac and Linux devices. Or if, for some reason you couldn't use PowerShell for your automation. For Mac and Linux devices, you can go ahead and run it. Let me refresh my page. Just like this. What you do is you basically type in the full path to your executable and you go ahead and run it. I personally like to use the environmental variable though. That way it's always the same, whether you're on Mac or you're on Linux. For Linux devices, it'll be in your options directory instead of applications. But there's a couple gotchas with these. With the default execution policy in Windows, it's set to restricted. So if you're live and you're developing a script, oftentimes, I'll try to copy and paste commands right into my device. But if you go ahead and try to run something, so let's go with deployed, you'll get this, kind of weird error. And you're like, hey, I thought this was included with every Windows device. And it is, but for interactive consoles, we can't, bypass this restriction for you. So you're going to have to go ahead and set it to at least restricted, or sorry, remote signed. Let's see, execution policy, remote signed. At that point, you should be able to run commands just fine. And there you go. You see, I have my checkbox unchecked. The next big gotcha I often see is some commands are automation script only. So if you try to run them inside these interactive consoles, like let's say I run git ninja tag here, it's going to give you an error message that basically says, hey, access to tags is possible only from an automation script. And this was designed with security in mind, so we're not really looking to move from that at the moment. But if you just simply run it from an automation script, so say you go over to administration here, add automation, and you create a new script, you should be able to run it no problem.
Quick question from Robert here, Kyle. Yeah, does the set execution policy bypass work well too?
Yes, that one's a bit of a looser restriction. For bypass, it'll allow anything to run. I only recommend remote sign because we sign our module, so at least you can verify that it came from us.
Yeah, I definitely, from my endpoint security days, I do remember this command. Yeah.
But bypass will work as well. If you have your own scripts and stuff and you're not looking to sign your scripts, you could do that. But for better security, I would recommend remote sign. All right. Let's take a look at custom fields. This next pitfall is a lot of people use one of our older classic commandlets, as I like to call them. They've been around since the dawn of time in Ninja. They were the first commandlets we ever made. So what people will run is ninja property get and the field name. And this certainly works, and it's going to continue to work. However, I usually like to refer to this as like the version 1. We did create a version 2 called get ninja property. And I like to use it because, ninja property set and ninja property get, they'll strip quotation marks from your input, among other issues. So like, let's say I'm working with JSON. And I go ahead and I set my field. You'll see it stripped out all the quotation marks I tried to set. And this can get kind of frustrating. A lot of, third parties send data to and from you in JSON format. And if you're trying to save them in a custom field, well, now it's all malformed. But if you use set ninja property, no issue there. So let's go ahead. Set it that way. And there you are. It's all your input is exactly as you had it. Those classic commandlets have been around for a very long time, so we kind of opted to create a version 2 instead. The other thing is conversion. Ninja property get doesn't convert any of the field types. So if you grab like a date field, you get this Unix epoch string and UTC time, which isn't very convenient. You'll have to end up writing a whole bunch of stuff to convert it to something a little more suitable. But if you use get ninja property, I actually built that functionality in there right for you. You'll see it creates a PowerShell object instead. It'll be in your device's local time already. So you can go ahead and save it as a variable. And then you can do, say, get the day of the week. Or maybe you want to add a certain number of days. All nice and easy and convenient. Other things are like things like drop downs. Setting via the GUID can be a little troublesome. And if you're not worried about conflicts, like later updating the script to say I decide to change my option here from Windows Defender to just Defender, and I'm not worried about my script breaking, you can use set ninja property to go ahead and just set it by the value name instead. And you can also retrieve it and get just the value name as well. There's a couple other gotchas. Let's say you're looking at a custom field and it's just saying, hey, this custom field doesn't exist. The number one issue with that is you haven't set it with the right permissions. So if you go to, say, administration, devices, device custom field, and we'll take a look at my AV choice, permissions, you'll see the automation permissions right there. You're going to need to set the permissions to whatever you're trying to do. So if you're trying to read from a custom field, you're going to need to set automations to read only or read write. If you're trying to write to them, write only or read write as well. The other thing I see is secure fields. Those are another feature that are automation only. So you won't be able to read and write from those fields interactively. You have to do it from an automation script. And then multi-line fields. As you saw up here, we set a multi-line field. And it ends up looking like this. And if you look at this font is the same as what we have everywhere else in the UI. It's not a monospace font. So if you try to, save some of those ASCII tables that are pretty common in PowerShell, what you're going to end up is a really funky looking table with all the columns all messed up because the spaces and the characters aren't the same width. So it kind of messes up the alignment of all the stuff. I would recommend using something like format list and saving a list in here rather than trying to save a specific console or using our WYSIWYG feature and constructing like an HTML table to view. Let's take a look at our tags. For our tag feature, this one is in the automation script only realm. So I'll pull up my example script here. We've got 4 commandlets, 4 tags. You could do options, you can get them, set them, or remove them. Options shows you all the tags that are available in your tenant. So if you're looking to say, hey, retrieve all the tags I have and only set ones that match this, this is the commandlet you're going to reach for. If you just want the ones that are already assigned to the device, you would use get ninja tag. And then you can use set ninja tag to set individual tags. So let's go ahead. We'll run it right here. Now, a couple issues with the tags is that one, since it's automation script only, you're going to have to wait a little bit for the device to sync over the results. So sometimes I've seen where it goes ahead and delivers you the results right here. And it's like, hey, I went ahead and set the tag, but it doesn't look like it has. If you just exercise a little bit of patience, give it, a solid 60 seconds. And I know that sounds like a long time. You'll see that it updates the tag in its own time. And then, of course, these are all automation only. You can't do it from an interactive session. I go over here. Access tags only from automation script. But you see, after waiting a minute or two, it went ahead and set my DNS tag.
Nice, Kyle. Before I don't want to interrupt your flow there. I did have a question that Robert asked that it goes back to the custom fields. Is now a good time, or you want me to chill for a second?
Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's great time.
All right, cool. So Robert asks, are there specific errors in a drop-down custom field if the option you're trying to set isn't actually a selectable option of the drop-down?
Yeah, we can show that real quick. I think I'll just show it to you guys live.
Nice.
And we'll set it to set ninja property. We're going to say it's a drop-down type, and I'm going to set the value to does not exist. It'll say specified argument was out of the range of the values. You cannot call a method on a null valued expression. And it's basically saying, hey, does not exist is not present as a drop-down option. And it, of course, will pull out the valid drop-down options. So it'd say, hey, the only options you have are Windows Defender, Malwarebytes, and CrowdStrike. And if you don't like that second error message, you can set your error action preference to stop a little sooner.
Awesome. Thanks for doing that. And then while we're at it, there is one from Adam the Smasher. Nice cyberpunk reference there. And he says one thing I've been able to find is the ability to cascade scripts and automations. Does Ninja support calling another script or file transfer automation? And Robert already answered this, said, not at this time, no. I did take advantage of the to bug our good pal Stephen Murphy, Mark too, but Stephen responded and he says, well, yeah, I currently know, but you could develop a workaround by custom field settings that react to the custom field state to trigger the next additional step. Does that sound good to you too, or do you have anything that you wanted to add here?
Yeah, you can absolutely set up a condition to watch a custom field and then have it trigger based off of that. And then I think you can also run scripts via the API. That one might be a little bit hairier, though. That one would definitely be an advanced step.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. And thanks for the question, Adam the Smasher. All right. Thanks for letting me interrupt.
Oh, no worries. Let's take a look at unmanaged devices. These are things that are associated with a managed device, so something with the Ninja agent installed. But of course, these unmanaged devices, they don't have agents on them. But you still might want to keep track of them, like the monitor on somebody's desk. I have a very expensive ultra-wide monitor here, and then another smaller one that I like to use to share my screen. Be kind of bad if somebody just walked off with it. But let's pretend that I walked off with Luke's monitor for screen sharing purposes. And I just wanted to create it like that. This will kind of create a basic unmanaged device. But some other devices, or for other use cases, you might want to include more information, like say how much you paid for it, or what the warranty start date was, or what your purchase date was, the expected lifetime. You could save that as a variable and then go ahead and give it an input object. So right there, I just created two monitors. One is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Kyle's desktop, and the other one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Luke's desktop. The tricky part with these command lists is it takes a while for them to sync. So if I run get Ninja unmanaged device right now, it's so far only created one of them. Generally speaking, I would wait like a good 2 or 3 minutes for them to fully sync over. You can filter get Ninja unmanaged device by relation or by role. And you can see it filled in all that extra information there. But let's say, you know what, that first one, I now know more information about my unmanaged device. You can go ahead and save it to a variable. And then you could update, say, the purchase amount. And I found out later Luke paid $100 for it. I'm like, oh, I should write that down in case he asks for his money back. You can set it just like that. If I close out of here. And you see our unmanaged devices right there, no problem. And you can create unmanaged devices for, again, all kinds of things. I've created it for headsets, for web cameras. We do have some scripts in the automation template library today. So if you go to administration, library, automation, template library.
There it is, Robert.
You could see the ITM discovery and auto add devices. This is one I pre-configured to import a bunch of devices and create those unmanaged really quickly. And of course, you can configure any part of it. Like I only want the headsets, I only want the monitors, I only want the webcams. You can check or uncheck however many you would like. I think the only other gotcha with unmanaged devices is we do not have a remove Ninja unmanaged devices. So that one you can't do via script. You would have to do it in the web UI.
While we're going through this too, Kyle, I know this isn't the main focus of it, but I'm just curious for the folks watching if you have any questions about the automation library and how to get the most of it. If that's something that you found easily, that was covered well in onboarding, that you guys are taking active advantage of. If you have any wants or requests or questions about it, would love to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
But also don't want to divert us here, so let's please keep going, Kyle.
Okay. For our fourth and final feature, let's take a look at Ninja documentation. So I'm going to go back to my Win 11 test device. So a lot of people don't realize you can actually read and write from Ninja documents. And it's actually pretty easy. This has actually been an old feature for a while. So we do have some classic commandlets for that as well. Ninja property docs is their starter. And these work, they work just as well as Ninja property get. But if you're working for single page documents, what I would reach for is get Ninja property instead. For the same reasons as you would do it for a device custom field. You get that nice conversion right there. It's a lot more PowerShell native. But there is another gotcha with that. We do have permission settings to be able to write to documentation fields, because it would be not so fun if somebody was updating your documentation without you knowing, especially since certain orgs do give their employees administrator rights. To protect against this, you have to go to your org settings, go to documentation, and set your device as a documentation delegate. You can set up to 5. You could do it on Windows, Mac, or Linux. But yeah, I really like these just because it can work as like a living documentation. So if I was going to create an automation to say set up a VPN, you could put all your VPN settings right there in their documentation, and have your script just pull that information. And the best part is, for just reading the fields, you don't need to be a documentation delegate. You can read it no problem. And then let's talk about what happens when scripts leave Windows. We've been talking about PowerShell a lot. It is my forte, sorry. But occasionally you do have some Mac and Linux devices floating around, or some places it's all Mac and Linux devices. So for there, all these commandlets are, of course, replicated here on the CLI. We have some great help documentation on there. We can see, hey, let's set my CLI variable here. You see, hey, I can retrieve fields just as good. I can set them. You can use standard in if you want to preserve your formatting. You can list out drop-down options. Let's say you wanted to retrieve from your documentation here. Or let's go with the notes field. Everything works no problem. You just have to keep in mind, you do need to know the path for the device, or use the Ninja data path environmental variable I was mentioning earlier. But let's talk about finding the right documentation. I never remember these things. I usually have some pretty solid Google foo, or maybe I'll ask ChatGPT or something. But I also have these articles bookmarked. So this one will show you all the CLI information. They have the full breakdown right here of all the attribute types. They have every single flag that you can run, an example of how to run it. And they also have similar documentation for PowerShell itself. So if you're on a Windows device, you're saying, hey, let's look at PowerShell. We have a full breakdown of every single commandlet, with some very thoughtful examples of how to retrieve every single type of field, as well as the type conversions. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna grab. We should absolutely share those links. And so, what we'll do, folks, is put those not only in the comments, or depending on how we can get them, we'll definitely put them into the description of this video after the fact. But yeah, these are great ones to have handy.
Yeah. That's all I got for today. Do we have any questions?
Oh, we do. We do. Well, hey, thank you, Kyle, for taking time to share your PowerShell ninjutsu with us.
No problem.
And yeah, we do have a handful of questions here. So thanks everybody for joining us. And if you're watching this, the recording and not live, then feel free. You haven't missed your chance. You can add a question and a comment, and we actually do pay attention to those things. We try to answer as quickly as we can. So you haven't missed your shot. Okay, so let's go up to Robert. Again, has a great question about versioning or a run log, for example, and he brings up the the specific example of, well, let's say you imported a script from the automation library ages ago, eons ago. How would you know if that's been updated or not?
Yes. So if you go to the template library, we do update this last updated field. And as of today, I actually have that last updated field set by when the programmer last touched the file. So you can tell by looking at that, but you can also open it up and scroll to the bottom of the help block we put at the top of every script. And we do put a version number and the release notes of why this script was updated. That way you can know for sure whether or not you even want to update. Though if you're asking me, the dev, I will always tell you, please always do the latest version. It makes my life so much easier.
Nice. Awesome. Quick point sermons. Sure would like an RSS feed or something for scripts added, updated in the library. I know we've done in a few times in the past, Kyle, the kind of whenever there's been, I mean, you guys are adding to this all the time, and it's not strictly tied to releases. And so there certainly can be cases where, like, you log in and you kind of scroll around and like, hey, I didn't notice that was new. And we've in the past have done a couple of webinars, the Scriptapalooza ones, where we kind of go into some of the latest and greatest. But yeah, any advice there in terms of how can folks really keep up to date with what all's being added?
Yeah, so we do have some announcements we release. So like the last one we did was 2026. So you can look at the announcements and webinars. I mean, you see on the left side here, whenever we do an update, we do announce it there. And then in the Discord, we do have a role you can add where we'll notify you there. And I do every single release try to notify that role. I know I had some issues last release, but I got those cleared up now. And we do a full breakdown of what's in the release. So we'll say, hey, we created 34 new scripts and we improved 20 others. I'm trying to theme the releases now. So I'll be like, hey, this was where my head was at this month. And, lovely screenshots and stuff like that.
Amazing. And these are, because I know more and more of our documentation is kind of making its way outside of the dojo. Do you have any idea of that? Like whether these are making the way too, or these are tucked away in the dojo for now?
I think they're tucked away in the dojo for now, but
yeah,
I personally wouldn't be opposed to putting them outside the dojo. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, just want to always make it easy for people to access and everything. But no, this is awesome, and look at the thought and care that you've put into putting these together. So folks should definitely check them out. And then I'm sure the majority of folks watching this are already members of the Discord, but I did put a QR code up there, and I'll put a link. I think there's already a link in the description probably to join. And you can find Kyle there and many other ninjas, and you can tag us and everything. And then there's an very active scripting channel, both NinjaOne users sharing scripts, and then also like Robert was suggesting, Kyle and Mark have been, there's roles that you can adopt that will give you notified when there's new scripts being shared. Okay, let's see what else we got. Matt. Good to see you, Matt. How do I aggregate results from multiple devices?
So what I like to do is I like to set a custom field, um, you know, and then I'll go ahead and I'll try to create a report. So if I remember right, you could devices. I actually don't remember off the top of my head, but I did remember if you do set a custom field on a device, you are able to create a report across all of those devices and field values. I like to do that for like Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, these are all my devices that got this result. Or hey, this is the version of this piece of software or something like that on these devices.
Cool, awesome. I love this comment. Yeah, called shotgun. Okay, let's see. There's one more. Spencer, you asked a good question. Here we go. If I am logged into a workstation locally, can I interact with custom fields?
You absolutely can, provided that you have admin rights to that workstation. So if you have an administrator console, let's see if I can show mine. You can see you still have access to the commands. I don't know RIT's custom field names. I've tried to guess on multiple occasions just for funsies, but I could never find one.
Stuff.
But it is, you are able to access them if you have administrator privileges.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Kyle, this has been great, and I'm going to give folks one last call for any questions. You got Kyle held captive here. As always, want to take advantage of that. Any final questions? And then I guess, Kyle, while we're waiting for that, I will take advantage that I've got you cornered. Is there anything that, as we mentioned, these script updates get added all the time. Anything that you're working on that you're particularly kind of excited about? You don't have to spill all the beans, but if there's anything that you can share about things you're excited about that are coming soon.
I do have my guys working on some these Windows Labs scripts right now. We're working on improving the reporting you can of your devices when Windows Labs configured. The WYSIWYG fields he's making are really, really pretty so far. I'm hoping to get those out either towards the end of this month or next month.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Here we go. A couple more questions. Thanks, guys, for adding these. Let's see. So from the passenger seat of the van, can you pull secure custom fields if you're an admin?
Not interactively. If you're doing it from an automation script, you do have to run it as system. So let's see, library, automation. You would have to create your script here to access the secure custom field.
Okay, yeah, I followed up to say that would love to know those are locked down.
Yeah, that would be a good feature request if you could lock down certain features to automation only or certain fields. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Matt's suggesting, pointing out they're not locked down, but at the very least, any query for them is logged. But yeah, definitely good thing that we can pass along. Speaking of Matt, let's make sure we cover this a little bit. Another kind of wish list. Love to drive work fields. Yeah, go for it.
I'd love to drive work fields based on contents of device fields to some degree. I would love this too. That would be an amazing feature add. I definitely got to talk to Luke to get him to do that one. You can sort of do this though with Ninja documentation. You're just limited to a couple of devices though, so you can only do it to up to 5. But Ninja documentation, if you're not familiar, you can go to your org, documentation, apps and services, And you can see this little onboarding doc I created for this example. But you can see this is kind of org-wide, so to speak.
All right, guys. Well, with that, I think we'll wrap this one up. And so, Kyle, thank you so much again for taking time. You guys know where to find us. We're always available in the Discord. We do these streams regularly, twice a month. We have, what is it? It's the middle of August. We have our next stream. Robin, you'll have to remind me what it is, but we do have another stream scheduled for, I believe, in late August. And then, lo and behold, we're going to be talking about 15 already. It feels like just yesterday. Yes, MDM troubleshooting with some of our community champions. These streams are a great chance for, we'll have folks like Kyle who work at Ninja, and then we're going to take advantage of some of the folks who, the knowledge of the folks that are on, you've seen their names here in the chat, who are sharing some of the things that they've come across from their perspective. And so doing kind of a series of that with MDM troubleshooting, doing some patching, scheduling, troubleshooting things too. Robert, last question. How many Kyles are there now?
Oh, man. Too many. You should see my phone, man. I've got 40 different Kyles in my contact list.
I'm fairly certain that there is like an International Kyle Day, or at least there was. Maybe it's not an annual event. Maybe there was like a one-time thing where like as many Kyles as possible met in one place.
We did have a convention in Texas. I want to say like last year, trying to break the world record for the most Kyles to show.
Oh, really? So that's really yes. Oh man, there are quite a lot of them. The Kyles are strong. They are many.
My poor dad, he's like, I was trying not to pick a common name for you because he has a really common name, so he hated it when he was a kid. But then he's like, oh, I don't know many Kyles, and he wrote that down.
Oh man, well, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us again. Last thing, KyleCon, there we go, November 8th. You guys know. It's coming up. It's coming up again. It's the day before my birthday, actually. And prior to that, it's also in Texas if you want to make a package trip around it. We have NinjaOne's first ever conference. We go to our own, we have roadshow events that are a little bit smaller, and we of course go to other conferences all the time, but we're actually hosting our own. It's called MSP Next, and it is on October 27th through the 29th in Austin, Texas. And it's a great opportunity to meet a ton of other NinjaOne employees, but also users. And I will also add a link so you can check out the full agenda and everything. And we also have some discount codes available. So if you're watching the stream and you're interested in going and price is an issue, definitely let's connect. We can connect through Discord, or you can put in a comment in the comments, and we'll connect together. We'll try to get you there one way or the other. But yeah, Robert's going to be there. A lot of folks are going to be there. It's going to be a blast. Very last thing, feedback on this stream and in our streams in general. Always great to see. So if you have any constructive comments, suggestions, recommendations, or ideas that you'd like to see for future streams, definitely put them in the comments. Definitely, we do it the same way we build Ninja. It's based off of your feedback. So thank you, everybody, again. And hey, Kyle, thanks. You did a great job. This is your first one. You did great.
Thank you so much.
We'll definitely rope you back in for another one.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care and have a great rest of your day or evening.